One of the questions that young people constantly ask me is, how do I know that God is real? Is there any proof of the existence of God? And though I can't hold God out and say, here he is, I can tell you that over 90% of the people on this earth believe in a God of some kind. And that over 2.5 billion people actually believe in the Christian God. And this morning I'd like to give you what I believe are some great scientific arguments for the existence of God. The first one I'd like to present to you this morning is what's known as the cosmological argument, which is the law of cause and effect. Now, this is an accepted law of science that states that every cause has an effect and every effect has its cause. This law is the basis of all science and can be related to the origin of the universe. Now, scientists agree that the earth has not existed forever and that it had a beginning at some point in time. This means that if the universe had a starting point in history, then it obviously began to exist, and therefore it must have had a cause for its existence. And this cause must be something outside and beyond the universe. And as a Christian, I call that something God. And I declare it as evidence of God's existence. Let me just summarise the cosmological evidence with the following statements. Whatever begins to exist must have a cause for its existence. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe must have a cause for its existence. The attributes or the nature and character of this cause of the universe, something that is timeless and outside of space, are the attributes of God, and therefore the cause of the universe must be God. And the Christian scriptures agree with this. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, the very beginning of the Bible states that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The second argument that I'd like to bring before you this morning is known as the teleological argument. The law of teleology states that if an object has a purpose, a goal, or a design, then it must have a designer. Simply put, things do not design themselves. And you can try this at home. Take some plastic, some metal, some timber, and take it into your backyard and observe. See what happens. You'll find nothing. Nothing barring decay or deterioration. See, things do not design themselves. Things do not create themselves. And a good example of design for us is the fact that our earth is just right to sustain life. We're just far enough away from the sun that we don't get fried. We're just far enough away from the sun that we don't freeze. Our atmosphere is just right in that we can breathe. Our gravity is just right that we don't float away into the atmosphere or we're not crushed onto the surface of the earth. Way too many coincidences for me not to conclude that our universe was designed for us to live here. Now, these facts about the universe and the way that our planet fits for us proves that our universe was designed. And therefore, by the teleological argument, it must have a designer. And as a Christian, I call this designer God, and I declare it today as evidence of God's existence. And the writer of Psalm 19 agrees with me as he declares also that God is the grand designer of the universe. He writes that the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. The third argument I'd like to bring before you today is based on the laws of probability and fulfilled prophecy. Now, in the Old Testament scriptures, there are many prophecies that refer to Jesus and to his church. And each one of those prophecies has been fulfilled. The Old Testament actually contains an amazing amount of prophecies that talk specifically about Jesus' birth and about his crucifixion. Now, if we were to apply the laws of probability to calculate the likelihood of all the biblical prophecy being fulfilled, we find that it is extremely unlikely. The chances of one man fulfilling just 8 of the prophecies of the Bible about him are 1 in 10 to the 17th power. That's a number with 17 zeros behind it. Let me give you a picture that might be easy to get your head around. If we covered the entire state of New South Wales with 20-cent pieces, to a depth of about half a metre, and then we fly an aeroplane over New South Wales and we drop one 20-cent piece marked with an X onto New South Wales. And then we blindfold a man and we tell him he can go anywhere in New South Wales. And when he gets there, we ask him to take his hand out and scoop up that one 20-cent piece that's marked. Now, what are the chances? What are the chances of being able to do this? The same chances that the biblical prophets had of 8 of their prophecies being fulfilled by any one man. And I would like to hold that out to you today. That according to the mathematical laws of probability and fulfilled prophecy, that the fulfillment of biblical prophecy is scientific evidence pointing to the existence of God. There is a divine designer and author of things. I call him God. I wonder what you will call